Hol, Head of Talent at ChipNL CC in Netherlands, Mariana Fernandes, Coordinator of Poems CC in Portugal, Lilly Adlgasser, Head of Training and Funding ATC3CC in Austria, and Alfonso Gabarrón, Managing Director of AESEMI MicroNanoSpain. A round of applause for all.
Well, thank you very much to all of you for being here this morning. Thanks to the Valencia Silicon Cluster, as always, for the wonderful organization. So here we are, Competence Centers. We are the Delta Force of the CHIPS Act. We are the first men and women on the ground to help SMEs and startups reach this European architecture that is being created to foster the ecosystem. But we also need to understand exactly what can the competence centers do in terms of talent and to support this development of skills. And for this, we have, I think, the greatest representation of all competence centers in the European Union. So I am going to ask you all to make a first round of introductions, to introduce yourself and also introduce what your competence center is, your general approach, and then we'll skip to focus on training. So, Nick?
Okay, super. Well, thank you all. Thank you for hosting this amazing conference. My name is Nick Hol. I'm the talent lead for all semicon within the ChipNL Competence Center and also partnership manager for innovation projects. With regards to our competence center, the ChipNL Competence Center, we call ourselves the one-stop shop for the semicon industry in the Netherlands. Our focus area is quite broad. From a technology point of view, the Netherlands is very diversified. So we have regions very strong in quantum around Delft. Photonics, also a key strength around Eindhoven with one of the new pilot lines being built for PIX Europe, but also the region around Twente. We also focus on semiconductor manufacturing equipment due to the supply chain of ASML and everything happening around Eindhoven, but also Arnhem-Nijmegen with the presence of NXP and Nexperia. And we also specialize on chip design and to combine all of that into heterogeneous integration and advanced packages with parties such as BESI and also metrology with ASM. So with regards to startups, we support all different kinds of startups with support with funding, with our RTOs, connection to IMEC, TNO, YEPIX for photonic support, regional investment agencies for funding support, but also talent, a very big topic in the Netherlands, organized mainly via ChipTech Twente and Brainport Development, for which I work.
Great, thanks. Mariana?
Good morning, everyone. So thank you for the invitation to be here. So today I'm here, my name is Mariana Fernandes, I come from INL, but today I'm here as the coordinator of POEMS, the Portuguese Competence Center in Semiconductors. So, and why POEMS in Portugal? So Portugal, and I have been saying this a lot, so probably some of you have heard already. So Portugal is a very fragmented ecosystem, so we are not very big, so we don't have main companies working in all the areas of semiconductors. We have in advanced packaging, we have Amcor Technologies based there with a very interesting production facility. But we were lacking some of the, let's say, the synergies among the ecosystem. So the ecosystem was working in islands, okay? So that's where POEMS actually wants to bring value. So we want to connect the ecosystem in 3 main areas in Portugal, so chip design, advanced packaging, and emerging technologies, leveraging on the existent and the traditional competences we have in Portugal in flexible electronics and sensors and in photonics, because we have a cluster in the center of Portugal working on photonic integrated circuits. So we really want to support all the actors to work together. So we are based on 3 main principles, if we can say so. So capacity building, which links very well with this Roundtable. So we aim to actually build the talent, the national talent pipeline of initiatives. We have also as a mission to bridge the gap between industry, academia, science, and policymakers. And we also want to create impact, or to contribute to create impact, and to raise awareness of the relevance of semiconductors within the society. So we have, but then I will leave that for the next questions to address.
Lily.
Thank you very much. And
Hello to the group all here listening to us. Thank you again also for the invitation. My name is Lilly Adlgasser. I'm from Austria, from the beautiful city of Graz. And I'm here from also the Silicon Alps cluster, so I'm also part of a cluster organization as well, representing the Austrian Chips Competence Center. So we in Austria really try to see ourselves as a service provider, to build up the Competence Center as a service provider for the industry, for research, but also for talent, so that we can really foster innovation and get people to collaborate. So one of our 3 main areas where we get active is actually putting back the money that we are receiving from the EU and fund projects that help SMEs and startups get prototypes going, set them up for market readiness. We put a lot of our efforts also, of course, in talent and skills and workshops and trainings, which we'll hear, I think, enough later on. But also, we are very excited about the Eurochip design platform, because we already get so many requests from our companies in Austria that are really interested in getting access to the European getting access to the European initiatives. And so we really see ourselves as I have to copy it, one-stop shop as well here in Austria, to give access to the whole European initiatives that are happening, but also to accelerate growth, make it easier, tear down walls in Austria for the Austrian industry.
Thanks. And on my side, I am Alfonso Gabarrón. I am the General Manager of the Spanish Semiconductor Industry Association, AESEMI, which also coordinates MicroNanoSpain. One of the 2 competence centers that there are in our country. We have Pixel Spain, which I want to also stress that they are doing a great job in enhancing the photonics ecosystem in Spain. But looking on our competence center, we are also seeing ourselves as a one-stop shop. Well, it's what is said in the call, so that's why what we are receiving the money for. So we actually put in place the largest consortia ever made in Spain for something of this kind, with the aim of establishing a common marketplace where all technical services for design and manufacturing could be accessed in a single place, and also help the SMEs access these European initiatives. Together with that, we also have a dedicated pillar of action towards skills and talent. And then we have a 3rd pillar for establishing a venture builder in Spain nationwide to support the creation of these new companies, to support the launch of spin-offs and startups coming off from all members in the network. So it is a really ambitious project, but still I think we are all doing something great for our ecosystems, which at the end of the day really pays off. So let's now jump directly into training. And I would like to ask first Nick, and then you, Lilly, specifically, how is your competence center addressing your talent gap in your country or your region?
Yeah, great question. I think to treat it from a startup and scale-up perspective, most of the competence center is focused on like a one-on-one consultation and helping these startups. From a talent perspective, it's more of a systematic problem. So we're tackling it more nationwide across various programs. And one of the major things in the Netherlands is that there is already a lot happening. So we have about 25 different programs active in the Netherlands. All these programs combined have about a budget of €1 billion and aim to train about 40,000 people in semicon before 2030. For the Brainport region and the ASML ecosystem alone, it's 26,000 people. And this is an estimate which was made in 2021. And in the meantime, a lot of other stuff has happened. So my guess is it's more around 50 to 55,000 people. So all these programs focusing on lifelong learning, attracting people from abroad, also inspiring youth to start within semicon and technology-related fields, vocational education training, universities of applied sciences and universities across photonics, quantum and semicon. So the main role of our competence center is to be the horizontal integrator, let's say, between all these different programs. Because most programs are kind of siloed, so they implement a lot of programs which the other programs actually already do. So especially when you look across the stack, let's say between photonics, quantum and semicon, a lot of competencies that need to be learned are quite similar with some specializations between them. So we try to let these programs talk to each other to see, okay, but what can we do together and what must you do alone in order to, well, carve out your niche within the industry. One of the major things we do is we have set up a national working group on skills intelligence. A big pain of the industry was that from the Netherlands, but also from the EU, a lot of surveys are generated to see, okay, but what do all educational institutes need to generate? Much of the industry in the Netherlands has said, we're not going to answer these surveys anymore, it's just too much. So we have a data analysis team, and we actually take a survey-less approach with a lot of web scraping in order to find out, okay, but what is exactly the need of the industry via vacancy analysis and connect it to the European skills framework to get on a skills level all the skills we need to feed our education. And I can continue and continue, but I will also let the rest have the word. Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. Lily?
Thank you. I think when we look at our own initiatives towards skills and talent, we have to put it into 3 pillars. And I do have to mention our consortium right now, because we are a consortium of 6 organizations, 5 of them are RTOs. We have Silicon Austria Lab, which is very proficient and also very medals in basically everything quantum that I've noticed going around Europe. We have Material Center Leoben, Polymer Center Leoben, the Austrian Institute for Technology, and also the Technical University of Graz, who's actually the work package leader for skills and training, which does make sense for a university, and I can support them. In any case, what we are working on literally right now is creating trainings in our core technologies. So we're talking about photonics, quantum, we're talking about thin film technologies, we're talking about advanced materials, but also really relevant topics of eco-design, cybersecurity. So we really are working on getting accessible training for basically everybody, because we put ourselves into this position where we said we want to have every training accessible for everybody for free. So basically everything we design here in ATC3 right now will be accessible by everyone through the Access portal as well, where I think the Access portal also went live yesterday, and there's already trainings available from Netherlands and Austria as well, so Google it afterwards. In any case, the second pillar is that our partner, the Technical University of Graz, already has a lot of experience working in projects as this. They've been part of the METIS program, they've been part of the Green Chips program. They also have somebody from the European Chip Skills Academy literally sitting in their office. So we are very well connected with a lot of other European initiatives. And we really try not to do all that work again, but to build up on that. And so we have a very high level already available for Austrian ecosystem, and we really want to add up onto that. And last but not least, and then I'll be finished, we also really want to not only use universities as a way to get workshops and trainings, but also to use third parties, for example, trainings provided by companies, because we have a really great ecosystem in Austria, and we have companies that already set up their own training formats, have it public for other companies, and we really want to get into that, co-fund that, and make it accessible and free for all Austrian, be that startups, big industry, students, pupils, or private person who are just interested in the topic. So that's basically the 3 ways where we try to make a difference in the skills gap.
Great, great, great. You both have spoken about other initiatives making work in the same field. For example, the European Chip Skills Academy, METIS program. Also, the same platform has some programs for talent. So this makes me think, are competence centers doing something different in terms of training than these other European initiatives? Are we the right stakeholder to cover this gap? What do you think, Mariana?
Well, that's actually a good question. And of course, coming from a CCC, I would say that we are doing something different, but we are. I think that one thing that is important to highlight is that until now, so the existing initiatives which are relevant and important and impactful, they were focused, at least I'm talking mostly about Portugal, okay, which is my reality, but they were focused on the traditional, let's say, training skill, or the traditional training formats, if we can say so. And universities, academia are more focused on teaching or training high skills or high skills students and so on. But there was a disconnection with what the industry needs. So that's what we felt during this year of implementation. Okay, so we are, I forgot to say at the beginning, we are 16 partners within POEMS. I think that we are the largest consortium of competence centers, which is challenging, but it's also, let's say, helping us in getting to the industry and mapping the industry needs, okay? Because I think that that's where competence centers actually bring value. I can tell you that in Portugal we have created a working group as well, a national working group, but it's a working group that brings together academia and the industry, the main industry actors in Portugal across the entire value chain that we have in Portugal. And so we interact, so we brought them all together in the same table. They spoke, so they were honest in reaching out to us, saying what were their main needs, and we realized that each segment has completely different needs. And we were missing someone that actually followed these different needs and mapped the needs and translate them into specific actions. Okay, I can tell you that, for example, in the ship design area, there are a lot of initiatives in Portugal. So, for example, Synopsys has their own academy in Portugal. Capgemini also has their own academy in Portugal. But in terms of advanced packaging or other more traditional companies in Portugal acting doing developments in the semiconductor or semiconductor-related fields in Portugal. So they were missing the vocational training. So engineers trained in maintenance, predictive maintenance, for example, process technicians. So they don't have yet a specific program or a tailored program that actually matches their needs, their current needs, but also looking into the future and matching it with the European and the global priorities as well. So I think that we are not the single partner. We have to partner with, we have to orchestrate, let's say, with the vocational educational trainees, trainings organizations, with academia, with the scientific academia, with the industry, and with the policymakers. So I think that
if I may respond to that for the vocational trainings, I completely agree. One of the analysis we did this year, it came out 2 weeks ago, is that in the semicon industry in the Netherlands as well is growing. But I don't know how many academia there are in this room, but nationwide in the Netherlands, there were in Q1 2026, 5 vacancies for PhD-related students, and universities of applied sciences and vocational combined had 500. So the focus must be on industrialization, because we have a lot of research. Yes, as Europe we are very great, but we must industrialize as well. And these vocational students are the ones that can do that really well, and not really the university students themselves. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would also like to add our perspective from MicroNanoSpain to this regard. The first thing we did in terms of talent was a full mapping of the landscape of the existing training programs in Spain at all levels, from vocational training up to PhD. We end up with a database of more than 300 programs, which is huge, and within them we went as deep as possible just to find and to understand what kind of professional profile were those students getting, if they were having any kind of specialization into these programs. And with that information, we then came back to the industry and asked them, is this what you really need for your day-to-day operation? And the general answer was no. We need something different. We need something more hands-on. We need something more concrete for more technical employees. For example, doing maintenance or doing operation, doing testing, doing characterizations. You normally don't need a PhD for doing all those things. So now we are, after doing that gap analysis, we are building our own training programs just on that base, on filling the existing gap that we have in Spain, because we believe that is the role of the competence centers, to fill the gap, to understand the gap, and then to be able to fill it. Lilly, traditionally, skills initiatives have focused in higher education. This is something that we have said, that we need to also include vocational training into these programs. How are you thinking about this?
I think, yeah, we talked about this in the group before. Vocational training is such an important part in gathering skills, not only because higher education in itself is bad, that doesn't apply at all. Like, we need people who really get into very specific topics, get very experimental. This is also needed, but also what the industry needs is people who can think in an organization. And that was actually, we had a focus group meeting a few weeks back, and this was a very interesting point that we got from one of our representatives there, is that in regards to like technical knowledge, the people coming from the universities are great, but what they oftentimes lack is the ability to think outside of that scope that they've learned in university and to apply it into organizations where, and let's be honest, with AI coming in, you know, people will be expected to be a lot less specific, but be a lot more broad in their skills, because they will have AI agents helping them along the way. So one single person can have a lot more output, but it also, that person also needs to be able to think one step before and one step after, to think like in an organization or to think in a circle. So vocational training is insanely important. And to be fair, also in the Austrian Competence Center, we do have our main skills partner is the technical university grads. And we've had discussions with them about this as well. And they also say, yes, it is very important to get more hands-on experience, send them to the lab, send them to companies. But I think in Austria as a whole, we can also say that we have a lot of different educational pathways that are more or less hands-on, especially with the industry and especially when it goes into higher education. So I think we already have a very strong basis in Austria that we can build upon.
Great, super interesting. Another aspect that also normally is left behind is lifelong learning. That together with vocational training, normally it's not in the main focus of these initiatives. Nick, how are you approaching this?
Well, luckily in the Netherlands, this topic is not left behind at all, because it's one of the main focus areas. Because our industry has to scale up so quickly, our normal or public educational institutes cannot scale up that quickly. They have longer times. So a lot of industry has already jumped into this gap. So we have a lot of private training institutes in the Netherlands who already organize many of the trainings. We make them all available on the platform that we have as National Competence Center as well, to give them visibility. But these trainings go from vocational one-week trainings to multi-week trainings. So this is actually already very well picked up by the market in the Netherlands. And beside that, it is the expectation that the national government will also mandate our public educational institutes to provide lifelong learning trainings to our students and to people. One of the main topics is that, yes, lifelong learning is important, but all industries are screaming for talent. We had a discussion with some partners, and we are reskilling people from our medtech sector, but then we don't have any nurses in our hospitals anymore. So immigration and training and getting people from abroad will still be important, but we also need to reskill our people to also, for example, start working more with autonomous systems. It was mentioned already earlier with physical AI. Europe is an aging continent. I mean, I'm 26. I'm not that old compared to the average age, I think, in this room. What I see, and also with many around me, is that also the semicon companies that are recruiting, they are recruiting for people that have at least 5 years of experience. We need to stop doing this, because we have many juniors, and lifelong learning is important, yes. But we have many juniors that cannot find a job while we are screaming for talent, because everyone is looking for the senior system architect and the senior system engineer with 10 years of experience, because we need to scale up quickly. But it is not a possibility, because all these senior system architects will retire, and if we don't train our next generation of talent, which is also a job of the industry themselves, in their company, in my opinion, we cannot supply our continent with enough talent.
Can I maybe add something to that? I think that is a really interesting point as well, because it's not only the EU that needs, or like countries or whatever, that need policymakers that need to make decisions. It's also the industry that needs to put in the effort, because, and we were literally asking that in the last focus group session that we had, is like, which training are you actually using? Because we are putting out trainings and they are not getting used. So like, what is it that you do? How much money are you willing to put in? And, or not money, but maybe resources. How much time are you willing to put in into the re-education or upskilling of your workers? How much investment are you planning to do? How much freedom are you giving them in continuous learning, for example? So this is something that the industry itself very much also has in their hands. And I think if the cooperation between industry and the research and the universities grows, then the whole country can benefit from that.
Yeah.
If I may add to that, to come back to the lifelong learning topic, to bring it more to end-of-life learning topic, one of the things we are focusing on as Competence Center, it's a little bit too early to say right now, is that the people who are retiring still have a lot of knowledge that can be used. So we can use these communities of retired, experts in order to, be mentors for our next generation. So I think a big challenge is as well to set up communities of these experts that they don't have to touch any machines themselves. They can just, they don't have to do research themselves, but they can coach the next generation of people within their companies. So we also need to retain talent beyond the age of retirement in order to, get a continuous stream of competencies of young who are very well versed in AI-related field, and the experts who have been working in industry for their entire life.
That's a super interesting point, actually. That's very, very interesting. Because here in Spain, it is true that we have a very young workforce wanting to access this market, but we also have very senior engineers that maybe have not just working in Spain. We have the best example of all is Maria Marcet, which was president at TSMC. We have this wonderful knowledge that we need to put together with these younger generations to help them go quickest in their path. That's a very interesting point. Another thing that comes to my mind as we are speaking is that we have all said on our own what we are doing, and we are 28 competence centers, right?
30
now. Okay. So we are 30 competence centers doing our things in our little castles, in our regions, in our countries. But having these 30 competence centers may lead us to having islands working fully independently. So how can we ensure that we have real coordination and alignment between all competence centers in terms of training? Mariana.
Well, it's funny that you asked me that question because we are now going to sign in 2 weeks from now the Iberian network of CCC, so a memorandum of understanding, precisely to actually stop working or not stop working, because we will always have to look into our country's needs, right? So we will always have to serve, let's say, the industry and the ecosystem needs that we have. But I think that this is an initiative that can be, and that was already established by the Nordics and the Baltics, if I'm not mistaken. So they are already combining their efforts towards common goals and avoiding duplicating efforts, but rather building up on and complementing the initiatives. So collaboration is a key, right? Collaboration between the competence centers is key. I'm actually going to steal Nick's idea. I think that it's a very good idea that you just gave. For example, we could perhaps try to think of building a program like this across Europe. I think that it would be very interesting, because we have different needs, of course, but we are all facing the same thing, which is the skills gap, right? So I think that we should actually put our efforts. We should, I don't know, I think that 3 things, probably transparency at first. So we all need to have an idea of what each one of the competence centers is doing, which areas they are tackling. That's the first step, and I think that's being somehow tackled by ACCESS, which is the European network of competence centers that was established at an European level, which is also a very good initiative to put us working together. But apart from that, I think that we should also avoid going everyone in the same direction. So we need to specialize, to really find exactly what are our specialties. And in this case, probably not only looking into the demand, but looking into our capabilities and where each country is strong. Where are the experts, right? Where are the experts that can actually bring some value to the training initiatives? And then collaboration, of course, so, and concrete actions, right? To have really concrete actions. I hope that with the Iberian, and we all hope, right? The Iberian network of CCC, which is composed by POEMS, MicroNanoSpain, and PIC Spain, that we are able, at least in the Iberian Peninsula, to tackle these things and to have some common training sessions, some common summer schools, for example. So it would be very interesting. But yeah, I think that initiatives like this can actually bring some value here and to avoid working in silos.
Yeah, I think to add to that, I think also a point in which we can really collaborate together is, for example, a European framework for micro-credentials.
Exactly.
I think that's in some countries also, especially the Netherlands, is something we still need to develop. And if we can work together on that, that would be amazing. But for example, also shared access to the training of the pilot lines, which are really centralized platforms, although spread out in Europe. I think this is something we can collaborate on very well.
Yeah. On the micro-credentials, I think that the European Ship Skills Academy is also looking into that. So maybe that's the next step, to have a European framework for that as well.
And it would maybe help what we heard as well today from Maria with mobilization, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. So a lot of good points I've heard. I think we can call it now because we are way off schedule and I am hearing some bellies roar. Thanks to all of you for being here. I think it was great, and I hope all of you have had the chance to understand what competence centers are doing. And if I want to stress something as my ending intervention, is that we are here for you. We are the points of contact for whatever you need towards this new landscape that is being built in Europe with all these initiatives. So feel free to reach us because we will be more than happy to support you. Thank you.
Thank you.